Really? Really, Noragami, another cliffhanger ending, man. This episode, it was freaking great. And even though I have more questions than answers, I will say that this episode, it was freaking fantastic. I actually loved it, and I was definitely feeling like I was definitely feeling the story progression that we got, and I will say that I'm kind of like seeing Ebisu's character in like a different light, not really as a villain anymore, but mainly as like a struggling god whose character is surely and slowly changing. But this episode, to me, like I said, it was definitely nice. We see now that Hiyori, she is still like kind of confused. We see her, somewhat upset over that kiss she got last week, and we even see now she cannot even look that boy in the eye, because we see that when she saw him in the hallway, we have her running away like to her locker, and we see her now crying. And I did notice, that little like bruise on her lip. I do wonder, like where that came from. But you just see her, scrubbing her lips with her hand, and we see her crying now. So obviously, we have no idea what happened after he kissed her. But right now, these two are like definitely not on good terms. But Hiyori either left school, or maybe, after her get out, we see her walking alone, and that's where Yukine, sees her, and we had Yukine talking, and we learn now that, these two, they have not seen each other in a while, which is why Hiyori could not see him at first, and we have her looking around, but slowly but surely, Hiyori definitely, remember him, because like at first she recognizes his hair, and then we see where his name is, and first she's like Yuki, and then, I think she says name, and that's where she finally recalls everything, and like just hugs him, and we see now that, that while they were hugging, it was definitely funny, because we had Yukine like freaking out, and we see now that when they go to like Kofuku's house, Yukine had a nosebleed. I was like dying, laughing at that. But we learn now that obviously, Yukine still has not had any contact with Yato, and Hiyori was like wondering about that. And we also learned that it's been some time since Kofuku has like come back there as well. And so right now we have all these regalias, and none of them have seen their gods in some time, and that right there should be like very alarming. And so we see now that we have Hiyori leaving her body, leaving her body for the first time in a while, I'm imagining, as she goes out to look for Yato, because Yukine, he was not worried, because he knew that more than likely he would with Nora. And so right now Hiyori was trying to look for him, but of course she had no idea where to go, because she knew nothing, about Yato. She knew nothing about the past, and so she had, no idea, where he likes to hang out, where he goes, nothing like that. So even though she was trying so hard, of course she would not come up with any concrete idea, on where to find him. And so we see now that Yato and Ebisu, they were still, running through the underworld, trying to escape from Izanami. And we learned that, apparently in old literature, Ebisu really is, Izanami's son, but apparently she gave him up. And so I do wonder, why is that? Hopefully they will not leave something that big in a small little detail, and will not expand on that, because obviously since that right there, was established, I do wonder, if they will, explain that fully, because I do wonder, if gods can have kids, then why in the world would she give her son up? And maybe that right there did kind of mess her up, regardless of what reason why she did that, that would explain why she is so lonely, because maybe her son would supposed to stay with her forever, and I'm guessing, something happened, but obviously we have no idea till they explain that, which I do hope that they do. But right now we see that the clones that Izanami made, they were made of water, and we see now Yato could cut through them, but we see now that every time he had tried to hurt Izanami, because we saw her mainly attack with her hair, he was not able to like cut through that. And we see now that at one point she actually got a hold of like Ebisu, and we see now she was like pulling him. And then we have Hyiro, or Nora, who we all know by now. We see her do something like so messed up, where we have her, like using like Yato's arm. We see her, pushing off the coat that the Ebisu was wearing, and we all know that right there is a regalia, and we see that coat, being pulled apart, and obviously that right there was just so fucked up. I'm not gonna lie, I felt so bad for that regalia because he did not he didn't deserve that, but obviously that right there kept like Ebisu safe. And so right now we see that Yato, he had no choice because apparently he had to save Ebisu no matter what. And apparently whenever it came to like orders from his father or Nora, I guess, he always did them no matter what they were. And so right now he was like letting Ebisu, go on ahead while Yato here will like stall Izanami and hopefully, keep her at bay. And so now going back to the real world, I guess, we have a Hiyori who went to a library, and we see her now looking up information on like the other gods. And even though she had found one, named Yato, obviously, that god is definitely a lot more established because that right there was the god that they were all worried about in heaven, a few episodes back. And so, of course, she could not find anything really, on Yato. So, of course, she was still having no luck. But then at one point, we have Kazuma, we have Yukine, and we have Kofuku's regalia. They all went to where Tenjin's regalia was. And we see now that apparently there was like some companion of Tenzin who loved him so much that apparently this right here is like is a plum tree spirit, and she can talk to like other trees. And we see that apparently she had fell for Tenzin for a long time ago. She had been with him for like thousands of years. And so we learn now that she is not a regalia, but obviously she's like very unique. I do believe that she is in charge, of the regalia. So even though she is not one, she is still kind of like Tenzin, that an exemplar. And so right now she was like talking to the trees, and there was like a tree close to the underworld that actually told her that he has saw Ebisu, go to the underworld. And so obviously, that tree had told her that. And then we also have the tree telling her that he has saw Yato and Noru as well, because at first he couldn't get any names, but like Yukine and Hiyori, they already realized who it was. And so now we see that all the gods that are missing, or mainly the 7 gods of fortune, they were now being, they were now being in confinement or containment, like prisoners. And we see now that they were using like these higher beings, regalia called sentinels, that like serve the heavens. And we see now that the one who like a loudmouth, the party goer, apparently this guy was like holding back for a long time, being nice and polite. And we see now that the Sentinel, she was actually gonna, kind of like ahead of herself. And we see that at first she had made a borderline, and we have this god of fortune, getting through that pretty easily. And so then we learn now that the heavens, they were actually, going to, in fact kill Ebisu, because obviously they have found all those masks, in his home. And not only that, along with the phantoms, we learn now that most of his regalias were in fact Nora's. And so we see now that this god, the loudmouth, we learn now that, that at one point he actually went to war with the heavens. And apparently, at one point they had feared this guy, because we see him now transforming into like this giant spider. And that right there surprised me, because this sentinel was like, a god without a regalia is like useless or powerless. She said something, like that, getting ahead of herself. And then we have Kazuma, she get in there and like shutting her down, and that right there was like definitely not to see. And so we see now that apparently this guy, he was still going like kind of wild, and apparently, apparently the other gods were like going to, each one of their own, to sacrifice themselves to pretty much like hold this guy back. But eventually, where we had Bishama, leaving with Kazuma and her lion guy, we have Kofuku and Tenjin, seeing this. So I do wonder, what are these two planning? Because obviously they have stayed back for a reason, and they are definitely, working on something. And so at one point now, where Ebisu's alone, we get a flashback of him when he was a child, and we see him now being overwatched by like 3 regalias. And the reason why this flashback was like so important as to why I'm bringing this up is because one of them said something that really made me think, just how often is this guy, reincarnating? Because we see now that apparently, not all of his, reincarnations actually reach adulthood. Apparently at some point, even when Ebisu was like growing up as a child, apparently he had died back then as well. And I do wonder, what in the world happened where like a god, where a kid looking god, would die. Because to me, that just seems, so cruel to happen. You know what I'm saying? And so right now, Ebisu, he was still, very unaware, about what was like reincarnated was, because obviously he is a child, being just reborn again. And so right now, he was not worried about it at first, but that right there definitely shocked him to learn that gods can die. And so now we see that the reason why Ebisu wanted this brush so badly, it was the fact that like if he could control phantoms and like use them, that right there could actually like take away from the sadness left behind where like people die. It was something among those lines. But we see that like no matter what, he actually must get that brush to his exemplar, who we all know is their older looking gentleman. And I do wonder if this guy is like a Nora as well, because like I said, most of the regalias were Nora, so I do wonder if that guy's also one. But I don't believe that a Nora could become a blessed vessel, because that right there just seems so messed up. And so right now, when Ebisu finally made it to the exit, we see now like they were all sealed off. And so now we have Izanami clones coming back to get him. And so right now we have Yato, who obviously lost because there was no way he could ever defeat her. And we have her now giving him like something to drink, and then like this some food with like all these bugs on it, and that right there was like definitely gross. But we see now that like Ebisu, he actually was like going to stay behind now and let Yato get away, because he was like going to die regardless, because we see that like his corruption, it came back, obviously that they were like taking his toll, and even his regalia was like corrupted as well. And so right now, Yato was like, why are you giving up? Why are you doing this? Because, is that right there what you want? Is this what the current Ebisu, really wants? And so we see now, this guy, he actually wants to have another meal at the Olive Tavern. And so we see now Yato, he actually took that as a wish, and we see him now grabbing Ebisu, and they were like running away, and you just see, Izanami go crazy. She had like went berserk. Like we saw that all of her sins were like lost. Her eyes, they were like pure white, and we see her face, being, I'm guessing, her true form, I guess, being shown off even more now, at least somewhat. And so right now, with them having no exit, they obviously had to make their own. And so Yato was like, make an event, because that right there could get them out. And so we see Ebisu, and I will say that the animation for this scene, it was on point, because we have them, calling for so many phantoms, and they make an event, and we see, that Yato and Ebisu, they were like traveling through it, but we see that Ebisu was like definitely struggling, because already he was corrupted, and now it's getting worse. But we have Yato making like a protective barrier for him. And so right now, where we see, or at least where we think that everything would, and rather nicely, we have Yato actually being pulled back by Izanami, and that right there is where the episode ended. Oh, and also there was like one scene where we have Yukine and Hiyori, arriving to where the underworld portal is. And so we see now that at one point, Yukine was like, make sure nothing happened to you because you are important to Yato, and to us. And that right there was nice. But now we see that the underworld, it's like sealed off from them. But luckily in the preview, we saw that Bishamo, does somehow make it into the underworld. So I do wonder if Yukine and Hiyori will like follow her. But overall, the episode, like I said, it was fantastic, even though we got another cliffhanger ending. But of course, let me know what you guys thought, because like I said, I liked this, so hopefully you guys did as well. But don't forget to like and subscribe, because it really helps me out. And you guys take it easy, and I will see you all next time.